Welcome to the Beyond Divorce, Embracing Change podcast. My name is Michael Flores, and I will be your host while we explore the complex journey of divorce with empathy, insight, and practical knowledge. Whether you're contemplating separation, in a divorce, or looking for support post-divorce, our episodes provide expert guidance, stories, and strategies to help you through every step of the process. We are actual therapists, helping clients who sit on our couches every day through their difficulties of divorce. You are not alone. Join us as we delve in and find solutions that give you hope again. We're glad you're here.
This podcast is not intended to replace legal or personal help. This podcast is for informational purposes only.
Well, welcome everyone back to another episode here with Beyond Divorce and Embracing Change. Today's topic is how to share the kids when it's not fair.
Holiday edition.
Oh, holiday edition.
Because the holidays are coming.
Holidays are coming. We're excited about holidays. Are you excited about the holidays?
Yes, very much.
Oh, that's great.
I want cold weather.
Yeah, holidays means cold weather. That's what we're excited about.
Yeah.
So bring on.
Allergies go down.
That's true. Yeah, allergies go, but we always get them first. And
yeah.
Okay, well, Jen, you're here again with us. Thank you so much for being here and doing this topic with us. I'd like to just tell our listeners real quick, if you'd like to ask us a question, because we're talking to you, it's not like a live thing. They're not getting to comment back. But if you'd like to ask us a question, please go into our show notes, like in the links down there. You can ask a question in there, and we're going to do our best to answer those, the majority of them that we get. We have some questions that came in recently.
Oh, we did?
We did.
Oh,
and I think we're going to try to answer those on some of the podcast episodes.
Cool.
So I'm real excited to do that.
Might give us some topics to add to our list.
It could.
Yeah.
Because that's true.
We want to know what you want to think.
Well,
what do you want to know about?
Yes. What information can we continue to provide you all to help you through this process? And I agree. And that helps us a ton to hear from them. So yes, please do that. So let's start with our first topic. When we're talking about how to share your kids when it's not fair, the holiday edition, as we call it, well, one of the things that you mentioned, Jen, is topic one, is just talking about sharing.
Yeah.
And the events and families and experiences and things that come with that. Can you kind of dive into what that means, the sharing part?
It's hard because when you have two separate families, sharing your kids can be, it's trying. It's a lot to think about it all at once. But it kind of goes back to kindergarten.
Right.
We have to share. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be equal this and equal this. When you have events with your family, sometimes, I know like in my family, our Christmas event is not at Christmas. It's 3 weeks before. So it makes it a little easier because we can do that then and then do something else on Christmas.
Right.
But working with your families and working with each other, when you're co-parenting and you're trying to maneuver your children, think about the events they have, school events, choir concerts, band concerts. There's always something at Christmas time or Thanksgiving, or there might be a parade or a run or something that they want to go to. Finding a way to share the time with your kids, but also share it with each other.
It feels to me, though, that where parents seem to struggle in this area of the sharing and time, and we get the parents that, hey, we just want to follow black and white.
Yeah.
We're going to follow what's in the paperwork. It feels more secure for them. And you have that.
Yeah.
But then you have the request of the parent, or you may have the request of the child. So when things come up, like the world still happens, even though you're divorced, right?
Yeah.
So birthdays come up and celebrations, and Aunt so-and-so's in town, so they want to celebrate Christmas.
Friend's birthday party, or,
Absolutely.
a Thanksgiving party, Halloween parties.
So the question that keeps popping up to me with parents is, when the parent wants the other parent to be flexible and share time so that they can have certain events, or sometimes the child is asking of a parent to be flexible with the time. And that's where it seems to be a conundrum. So is the parent requesting, is the kid requesting, what do the papers say? And all these things are trying to be figured out.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yeah.
So, what would you advise parents to keep in mind during these times, especially like holidays and events that come up?
Think about the experience that you want to have and that you want your kids to have. being able to share something with your kids is monumental sometimes. You have a relatives coming into town that no one's seen in 10 years because they live far off, like in another country or something. That might be a special moment where you have to be a little bit more flexible because that's not going to happen again. Things change. Someone might be ill. You got to go see them before you can't.
Yeah.
And, being flexible, oh yeah, you can't go because it's not your time. That's not really a sharing. It's not sharing your time. It's not sharing with your kid. Being able to step aside from yourself sometimes and be what's most important here.
Right.
And when you look at events, I mean, I know I've had kids tell me they wish their parents could sit near each other at their event.
Yeah.
Or at least talk to each other in a cordial manner. When they have a school event, they have a choir concert, they want their parents there. They want both of them there. And they want to see them there. But they also kind of want to see them not necessarily right next to each other, but at least somewhat near each other. They can have a conversation. They can have a little bit of connection because you're their kid.
What do you suppose it's like for the child to just see that, experience their parents like, we know they don't get along. We know they're not together.
Yeah.
They know that. However,
they can set that aside for right now just for me. They let the kid know they're the most important part.
To the child, it looks like, I'm more important than whatever your problem is.
Yeah.
That's what the child experiences. Do you think people know that?
I think they think they know that, but they don't show it.
What do you mean?
I have parents tell me all the time that, my kid's the most important. My kid's most important. But when you put it into action, it doesn't look that way.
So what they're saying is the kid is most important, but when I make a decision regarding my co-parent or my child, I'm going to put me first on how I feel or how I think about the situation.
Yeah.
Is that what they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're saying part of sharing is you're really not making it about just what you want.
Yeah.
It's about what things might mean for you and then what it means to the child.
Yeah.
And then kind of learning how to collaborate or work your way through that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand that. Let's go into this other topic about caring. I noticed that you actually separated sharing and caring as two different topics.
Yeah, because it's two different things.
Let's talk about that. So what makes caring a separate topic from sharing?
Caring is that part about putting your needs second. Caring is caring about your kid more than you don't like your ex-spouse. It's a different way to think about things and really show your child how much you care about them by being there for them, letting them go to their events. I have parents who restrict their kids. Well, you're on my time. I'm not taking you to basketball practice. And I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like, that's a commitment the kid made to their school or to their team, and you're not allowing them to fulfill that commitment.
Well, the parent seems to argue that the other parent made that decision without their input.
Exactly.
So almost a way to get back at you is like, well, I'm not going to take them.
Yeah.
But then really, who does it?
Who does it hurt? It hurts the kids.
And that's the part they miss. Mm-hmm.
It gets hard because when you do have, specific custody arrangements and very specific ideas of black and white, this is your weekend, this is yours, it gets really tricky because you've got to be willing to be a little bit flexible.
Yeah.
And understand what your kid needs more than what you need. Not that you're putting the kids completely in charge, because no, that's not true either. Well, they're not in charge.
Yeah, I kind of look at caring as a way of not relinquishing anything of yourself. What you're saying is, I'm going to go second.
Yeah.
So, to me, I'll give you an example. I put two people in a room. They completely disagree on what's occurred, right?
Yeah.
So the narratives between the two people don't match.
Yeah.
A person who's caring, that even though it doesn't match, our narratives don't match, we may never agree on how we got here. The caring person says, I'd like to try to understand where you're coming from first, even though I don't agree.
Yeah.
Versus I'm going to get you to understand.
Yeah.
A caring person isn't interested in making you understand. They're interested in trying to understand.
Yes. And that's how you can show that you care. Even when you're talking to your kid about what they, what they can and can't do, one of the things that comes up, especially around the holidays, is parents plan surprises. We want to surprise our kids. You want to give them tickets, or you want to give them, take them somewhere on a trip or something, and you want to surprise them with it. The hard part, though, in the caring part is, if you're going to do that, you might need to talk to the co-parent first. You need to coordinate. Either it's your time,
Yeah.
or if there might be a problem or stipulation with the other parent, you need to maybe clear that with them.
So when you put the topic of caring, I noticed that you put two words here. You put collaborate and cooperate.
Yeah.
When the other parent feels that so when parent A feels that parent B is the uncooperative, uncollaborative parent.
Yeah.
What do you encourage that parent to do? Saying, okay, so the parent.
You want to be parent A and I'll be parent B?
Sure. I don't confuse everyone here. So I'm parent A, you're parent B. My complaint to you, the therapist, would be parent B is uncooperative and uncollaborative, but they expect me to be cooperative and collaborative.
Yeah.
What would be your, I guess, insight into that, or encouragement to me, the parent, that's complaining that the other side's uncooperative and uncollaborative?
It's very hard. I will agree. It's a hard topic to discuss because you not everybody is always going to be cooperative and willing to collaborate. But coming to that person as, this is what I'm looking for our kid.
Yeah.
And putting the focus on the kid might help.
Right.
Where changing the focus of, this isn't about me or you, this is about an experience for the kid.
One of the things I've trained parents to do to have a collaborative, cooperative mindset is, I said, why don't you become the person they should be?
Oh, that's a good point.
So, like, if you want them to be collaborative and cooperative,
you become that.
Just be it.
Yeah.
Be who they should be.
And I think that's actually really good, because I have this conversation a lot with my clients, is that the mirroring effect of how we feel.
Yeah, explain that, because I don't know if people know what the mirroring effect is.
We typically feel, we reflect what we see. So when we see someone who's upset and frustrated in front of us, we typically reflect that back. Not intentionally. A lot of it's in the mind, and it's all under our subconscious. But if we can actually think about it when we're talking to someone and stop ourselves and be like, wait a minute, I don't like where this is going. This conversation tends to be going the wrong direction that I don't want it to go in. Stop yourself and say, hey, can I change what I'm saying or doing to maybe change this conversation? Because if we're reflecting, if you change the way you talk and you become more collaborative, you become more cooperative, the other person at some point doesn't have a choice but to go with you. Because that's what they're getting. That's what they're seeing.
Yeah. I'm so glad you explained that to them. You know, my wife, the non-therapist that I have in my house.
Yes.
And she said something to me one day. I was in the kitchen, and I probably won't ever forget where I was, because it was pretty impactful. And she kind of explained this idea of this mirroring, but it was different. She said, do you know that our children will learn more from what they catch you doing, not from what you tell them?
Oh, yeah, totally.
And so kids are super observant. And so when we want to train our children to be certain types of people, remember, they catch you. They don't just learn from what you tell them. They're learning by how they catch you doing.
Yeah.
How you do anger, how you do collaboration, how you do any emotion is how they learn too.
Yeah.
People don't realize, I don't think, that the little inner voice inside of you, the one that, you know, when people, like, as a therapist, as I've worked through this with people, they find that inner voice was actually developed by the things they experienced in their childhood. And so they'll say things like, I sound like my dad, or I sound like my mom, or it's like I can hear my mom in my head telling me.
I remember, I think I was in college and I said something to one of my step-siblings, and I was like,
You did that?
I did. I was like, that was my mom coming out of my mouth. Like, I said something that she had said to me when I was a kid.
So do you believe that in parenting, that parents actually root themselves into their children's subconscious?
I think they do. Now, how far that goes is up to the kid. But I do think there is a basis of that in how we grow up, how we've lived our lives, because it does impact the way we are. Now, I would like to say though, being from a divorced family, that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing.
Yeah.
You can have a good divorce and a good relationship with your kids, even through divorce. Just to be personal, my parents got divorced when I was 1. So my whole life was spent knowing they were not going to be together. Now, they went through other marriages.
You have no memory of them together.
No, I don't.
Wow.
But at the same time, so I had to learn a different way to live. And I had step parents and step siblings and other people involved throughout my life. And, you have to figure out how that works. But it doesn't mean you can't become the person you're supposed to be. It's just a different way to get there. And
what would you? I'm going to ask you a fun question.
Okay.
You're your own therapist.
Okay.
If tonight you went to sleep and you had a dream where you revisited your child, you revisited you as a child, thinking of everything that child's been going through, the emotions they felt and everything else, knowing what you know now as the adult, what would you say to that child?
That's actually a funny question. But I like that question. I would say to that child, find a way to take care of yourself. You don't have to take care of everybody else.
Oh.
I think that, and I see it a lot in the kids that I see. They want to take care of their parents. They want to please their parents. And, when we come back to talking about sharing your time with them, they want to do everything for both parents, but they can't. And it gets stuck. They get stuck and then they get mad and they get frustrated and they act out. And it comes out in crying and yelling. And I think it's hard because the kid doesn't know what to do. And that's part of the reason why I have a job. So I talk to kids and help them figure out how they can be themselves and take care of themselves while letting this process go through.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jen, that's one of the most powerful things I've heard you say.
Yeah.
I need to ask you more questions like that.
Not today.
No, not today. Don't do it here, Michael. I'm happy because I think that gives an opportunity for our listeners to go back, maybe even in their own childhood, to reflect, or to go into their own kid and go, is it possible that I could be putting things on my child completely unaware that I'm doing it?
Yeah.
I'm doing it with all the right intention, but I'm creating harm in doing so. It's almost like there was a study. I got to tell you this really cool story. When I was studying psychology, they had this study that was done. I don't know if they can replicate it or not because it was considered kind of cruel. But what they did is they had a guy who had a buzzer.
Yeah.
And every time they had three participants who were actually in on it. So that was the point. They put them in on it. It wasn't real, but there were actors, 3 actors, but they were acting as participants. So these 3 people were selected to go behind like a closed curtain area. Yeah. And you have a list. You're gonna ask them questions, and every time they get the question wrong, you're gonna push this button, and they're gonna get a light shock. Okay. And what they say is each time the intensity of the shock will go up, and you will keep.
Yeah, I think I remember reading that.
Do you remember reading this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what happened? Okay. So this person would basically have to inflict pain unintentionally because they're told, hey, you're part of the study, we're paying you, you have to do it. And so they felt obligated because they were like, I did sign, I said I would do this. And every time, and they asked these questions that were like, no one could answer. And it was on purpose, right? And they weren't really getting shocked, but they wanted it to be like they were. So they would scream and they'd push his button and they'd scream. And you could just see the
stress. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was so visible. Like you don't have to be trained to understand it. What I worry about is I think kids feel like that sometimes. They're having to press an invisible button and hurt someone when all they're really trying to do is what?
Love them.
Love them.
Yeah. They want to love both their parents. And
did you want to love both your parents?
Of course. Yeah. I'd still love both my parents.
You ever get mad at them?
Oh, God, yeah. I love them. But that's part of being in a family. I think it's interesting because people always like, I don't want to fight. Well, you're going to fight with people. You're going to fight with your family. You're going to fight with your siblings. You're going to fight with your parents. There's no way around it. You're going to fight with your spouse. It's how you fight. And when that may be another topic for another day, how to fight. Because I think we actually talked about that, how fighting fair, because
We did.
it really makes a difference how you respond to the event versus having the argument in the first place.
This title is How to Share the Kids When It's Not Fair.
Yeah.
And so here's the point of this is when you say it's not fair, that's a belief that you have that it's unfair. Like you've created that somehow. I'm not saying it is or isn't.
Yeah.
But you're creating this idea that it's not fair. And this idea of how to share.
Yeah.
What I think it comes down to is not just how to share, you have to share.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the place where you're going to fight, that's going to happen, you also are a collaborative piece of the solution.
Correct.
So if you're just coming in and throwing punches and walking out, that is unfair.
Yeah, totally.
It's almost like if you're going to come in and throw punches, be ready to take one too.
Yes. That's
maybe people
very
forget
true.
that.
Well, and that goes to our next topic, with the last part of it.
Yeah, go for it.
Which is putting the kids first. You know, what I see with parents sometimes, especially around this time of day, because of custody arrangements and stuff, are like, well, it's my time, you can't have them. You know, and they get very punitive and petty sometimes. But my point is, it's hard because if you can be flexible and be able to allow another parent to have an extra day because they're going on a trip, or so-and-so's here, being able to say, yes, you can have that day, but can I have this day?
Yes, if.
Yeah, it's the yes, if. Because you want to be fair to the kid, but you also, at the same time, you don't want to know one parent, like parent A, to say, oh, well, I plan something every weekend of December. That's not really fair. You can't really take all the weekends. But if there's an event, there's a party, there's a Christmas party, there's a school dance, there's whatever they have going on, depending on whether parents are there or not. You know, being able to put your kids first. So what is most important for my kid right now? Do I want them to experience going to Holiday in the Park this one time?
Yeah.
You know,
maybe well, I'll go over that in a minute, but you mentioned one of the key attributes of solution building is flexibility.
Yeah.
You know, the old saying was, there's no such thing as an inflexible client, only inflexible therapist.
Yeah.
Which is, I didn't say that. I forgot who said it, so I can't take credit for my comment. It's a phenomenal comment.
It is.
Because when a therapist states to themselves that they're inflexible, right? What I've learned from that process is sometimes I'm not making progress with a client because I'm inflexible.
Yeah. You're not changing what you're doing to help them where they're at.
Yeah. You know, can I tell you something really cool that happened? I had a kid ask me a really awesome question.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking, kid wants to talk about some pretty significant, they don't want to talk about some significant stuff. I realize they kind of have to.
Yeah.
And it's kind of necessary for things to kind of move.
Yeah.
And the child said something really important to me. They said, I don't know if I can trust you. And I appreciated the comment.
Yeah.
Would you like to know how I responded?
Yeah.
I said, you can't.
True.
And they looked at me a little odd. No, they didn't expect me to say that. And I said, you can't because you don't know me well enough to know if you can.
Yeah.
Just like I don't know you well enough to know if I can either. So instead of telling you to trust me, I'm going to tell you don't. What I'm going to ask you to do is give me the opportunity to have an avenue where trust can happen.
Yeah.
If you'll create that for me, I'm happy to create that for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that way we can get to a place where we can get some resolution.
Yeah.
That was more meaningful to them than saying, but I'm a counselor, you should trust.
No, I don't want anybody just to blind trust me.
You know what I'm saying?
Question me. Go ahead.
It's okay.
Yeah, because I'm all right with it.
Because I'm going to question you too.
Yeah.
And not in a sense of I want to hurt you. And that's what parents need to know about sharing their kids and this not fair thing. A lot of it comes from a lack of trust.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't trust they're going to do the same thing for me.
So when you go to flexibility and you say, hey, can I have this extra day because we're going to have this trip or we're going to travel or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
What you're really saying is, can you trust me that I will make this up, or I will offer you a day back? Or parents don't trust that will happen.
And I get that because they probably have past experience where it didn't happen.
Right.
So how do we change it? And I think that's where we're at sometimes with parents is we got to figure out a way to change that prospect.
I think you tell the other parent the truth.
Yeah.
And the truth would be something like this. I hear that you're wanting me to offer you an extra day that's outside of what the arrangement already is.
Yeah.
I don't want to say no. I really want to say yes, but can I say where I'm concerned?
Yeah.
I'm concerned that if I make this decision, it will not be reciprocated.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You basically you won't offer it back. This will fail.
Yeah.
And I'm fearful of that. And I'm not interested in doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how are we going to make this work?
Yeah. How can we make it work?
Just ask the other parent.
Yeah.
If you want flexibility and you're to trust it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way you do it is you tell the other parent the truth. I'm fearful. And you don't have to give all your backpack.
No, you don't.
This is why I'm fearful. You just say, I'm fearful that this could occur.
Yeah.
What you think will happen in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And then you state the goal.
Yeah.
I don't want this to happen. I prefer this to occur. Then ask them how to solve it.
Yeah.
How can we make this work?
Exactly.
And let them tell you how they're going to make sure that the arrangement is going to work so that flexibility can happen.
Exactly. And that's kind of where coordination comes in.
Talk about
You're coordinating with people, with each other.
Yeah.
You know, like I said before, if you want to surprise your kid with a trip, please talk to the other parent first. Don't tell the kid first. Don't get the kid's hopes up and say, oh, we're going to do this. And then the other parent comes back and says, that's not on your time.
Right.
That's not, you've just created a situation that's going to cause conflict because you didn't coordinate with the other parent first.
Right.
And I know that's difficult to say. I don't want to tell the other parent because they're going to get mad because I'm doing all that. I get it. But if you're going to surprise them, at least coordinate the timing so that you know it's going to work before you tell your kid.
Yeah.
Because if you blurt out, oh, we're going to Disneyland, and then dad's like, no, that's my time. That's my spring break. You can't have them.
Right.
The kid is devastated because now they can't go on this trip.
Right.
And I've had kids over the summer who had plans and they got changed because the other parent was like, no, this is my time. And the kid was upset.
Yep. Well, it just, you notice it just piles on top.
Yeah.
Right. So the distrust builds from there. Then the kid's mad and then one parent has to become a villain.
Well, and it's interesting because I've actually had a conversation with a kid and their parent about this topic. And I said, I sat the kid and the parent. The kid was mad at this parent because this is what they did. They changed it on them. And they came up with a solution for next summer on building more things that the kid wants to do that she was looking forward to that she didn't get to do because she went to visit dad.
So without giving too much detail.
Yeah.
In this particular scenario, how did it get there? How did we go from where we were to this
We just talked
collaboration?
about it. We actually just had a conversation and brought up what the kid was upset about, why the kid was upset.
So it was centered around the child.
It was centered around the kid because it was about why she was upset with one parent over the other.
Got it.
And it wasn't really about the parent. It was because she didn't get to do what she wanted to do.
Right.
She didn't get to go to the camp she wanted.
Yep.
And I mean, sometimes it's important. That's why putting the kids first, it's important what they want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to go to an event with their friends that only happens once a year,
Yep.
It shouldn't matter whose time it's on. It's up, and I mean, obviously within reason, because the other part of this is also explain to your kid when a no is a no. That's another reason to put another way to put your kid first. Explaining to them when you have to say no because it really isn't the most opportune time for whatever it is, or there is a family function that overstakes a friend function.
Yep.
Being clear with your kids about setting their expectations of saying, I really want to do this for you, but, grandma's going to be here and we've already had this plan for 6 months, and so it's that flexibility, but being clear with your kids about what their boundaries and expectations are.
Just to wrap this up,
Yeah.
I'll give a way to approach that
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
Tell your kids no, because I have to do it too.
Yes.
I
Awesome.
tell my kids no sometimes.
Yes.
I like trying it this way, is first by validating
Yeah.
So what I do first is I'll say, this seems really important to you
Mm-hmm.
and something you really want to do.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that I see that. I get it. However, instead of saying but,
Yeah.
I'll just, because but negates everything you said
Yes.
before. So I would just say, however, grandma's in town.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity I know that we can't miss. And I want you to understand that if there's a way we can make this other thing work, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
In the event we can't, we're going to do this instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm not, I think the goal of that is, it's not in kids like, oh, you know what? I'm so excited. Yeah. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But that validation.
They're heard.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Don't you think that most
Kids
people,
want to be heard?
I think people.
Oh, well, yeah, people in general. They want to be heard. And even with your co-parent, if you said that.
I've had people pay me to come to counseling, not for anything I had to say, but just so they could say what they wanted to say.
Yeah.
Like, can you just listen? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to help you? That will help.
Yeah.
Literally spend the whole session just telling me their stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's a key indicator to me. Like, they feel completely unseen and completely unheard. And that's what they wanted.
You just want someone to listen to you.
The hard thing for us in our work, though, it's like we hear the same stories all the time, but just different people.
Yeah.
And so we have to be careful not to
They mix.
well, not mix, but we desensitize.
Yeah.
And so to them, it looks like we don't care. But in reality, it's like, I can do the song and dance with you for 3 sessions, or I can actually get to it in this session if you like. We can be done.
I've done that with people before. I've like, you want me to just go straight to the point?
Well, the kind thing you did is you asked.
Yes.
How do you want? Hey, how would you like to get there?
Yeah.
Not just.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you wanting to get there? Because I might want to take you there today.
Yeah.
But they may want to get there in 3 or 4 sessions.
Yeah.
You know, that's sometimes how it happens. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do a couple recaps.
Yeah.
Things that I heard that I think the listeners should be mindful of is be who the other parent should be.
Yeah.
We talked about that, right? We talked about, you said something about knowing what something means, the meaning it has to you.
Yeah.
Understanding that about yourself when it comes to sharing.
Yeah.
Because not just doing it or not doing it isn't the case. It's what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
Right. So really understanding that. Putting yourself second.
Yeah.
So you said put your kid first, but since we're talking to the parents, I'm sure there's not a lot of kids listening to our podcast.
True.
I'll tell the parents, put yourself second.
Mm-hmm.
You go second.
Yeah.
That means kid goes first.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And then I wrote down a pattern. So you mentioned the flexibility, the coordinating, explaining to your kids no.
Mm-hmm.
So basically that topic was putting kids first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wrote this down. The way you talk to the other parent about being flexible is stating the fear. This is what I'm afraid can happen if we do this. Tell them your goal. I want this to be what happens.
Yeah.
And then ask the parent, how can we make that work?
Yeah, exactly.
Let them collaborate with you on a solution that they're requesting of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let them, car salesmen do this.
Yes, they do.
They're
very good at it.
Sell you a car, they make you buy one.
Yeah. Well, and I think the only other part of that is if you do all of these things and you're still getting a no, take that as the answer.
Be accepting.
Accept it as the answer and move forward and work it out with your kid.
I like to do this when people go no. What
Yeah.
I like to say is, what else could we discuss to potentially turn that into a yes?
Yeah.
And if they go, there's nothing, it's done, over.
Okay.
Then I just learned to go, okay.
Yeah. And you move on.
Correct. Because that can be also respectful. Because one day when you have to say no,
Yeah.
would you want that in return?
Exactly.
That's the idea of being
Well,
who
and
the
if your
parent should be.
kid happens to be standing there when you're having this conversation, which happens a lot, make sure you are the person you want them to see.
There it is. They catch you, right?
They catch you doing stuff. They're going to catch you good or bad. If they
catch the bad a lot, though.
Yeah, but if they can catch you coordinating, I just want to say this one thing. I had a kid tell me the other day that she was really excited. She had a doctor's appointment. She was scared. She was with mom. She called dad because she was scared.
Right.
And the two of them had a good conversation. She's like, it made me feel good inside. Just because she knows her parents don't necessarily get along, but in that day, in that moment, they had a good conversation.
And what do you remind the listeners again? What do kids feel when they do that? The parents
They just feel loved. They feel heard.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Thanks for being here. That was fun. Yeah.
It was.
I enjoyed that. I just want to. We went over the takeaways. I'd like to just let you know to please follow us on Instagram at Broader Possibilities FC, And Facebook is Brighter Possibilities Family Counseling.
Mhm.
We love to post fun stuff. You can learn a lot about us. I think what's fun about some of our posts is people get to see the real us.
Yeah.
Like they don't see just like oh,
We're normal people too.
oh, we're just people trying to get you information to help you.
Yeah.
Like we care about you having the information to help navigate this process. This is not easy.
No, it's not.
Boy, if we can touch some of you and you're, in the sense that we're offering you information that helps you better serve your family and your children, oh, I would love it. Could you imagine if we had someone who never saw us as a therapist, never did treatment with us or anything like that, sent us a message one day and said, hey, all I did was listen to your podcast. I incorporated things that I learned.
Yeah.
And my child is complimenting me on the way I parent them or whatever and going, wow, we did that just talking.
Yeah. Or it may be just reassuring yourself that you are doing the right thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I know.
So,
because I know there are parents out there who are doing really well with their kids.
oh, sure.
And they're processing through the divorce. Like I said, I grew up with the divorced parents. I will say my parents are like best friends. It's weird.
Is it a good word?
It's a good weird. But they've stayed friends my whole life.
Yeah.
They were able to do that.
Did you compliment them yet?
I have.
Good.
Yeah, because they chose, and they both told me we chose to do that. We chose to do that.
Well, I'm choosing to compliment you for it because it meant everything to me. That's right. I love it. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. Keep moving forward. See you next time.